I still remember exactly how it felt. We've been talking almost every day for 3 weeks. Morning texts, silly memes in the afternoon, deep conversations late at night. It felt warm, easy, natural, like something good was unfolding. I didn't want to rush things, but I thought maybe I could trust this. Then one day, silence. No message, no good night, no explanation, no warning. I refreshed my phone at least 37 times that evening. Maybe something happened, I told myself. Maybe they were tired or busy. Maybe their phone broke. I tried to come up with every possible reason to quiet the noise in my head, but the next day was the same, and the day after. Still nothing. And then I knew. I had been ghosted. There's no single word that can fully describe that experience. It's not just sadness, it's a confusion, embarrassment, disappointment, a creeping sense of worthlessness. I kept asking myself, did I say something wrong? Was I too much? Was I not interesting enough? Maybe. I hoped for too much. I got stuck in an endless loop of questions with no answers. And that's what hurt the most. Not the loss of the person, but the loss of clarity. Because at least a breakup gives you a reason. Ghosting gives you nothing. Just a slammed door and silence echoing on the other side. I used to think I was the only one this happened to. But then I realized ghosting is everywhere. It's become a normal part of modern relationships. In an age where sending a message takes 2 seconds, some people still choose to say nothing at all. But ghosting isn't just about communication. It's about psychology. So why do people ghost? Do they not care, or is there something deeper going on? Though I've spent months searching for that answer. And today, I want to share with you the 6 real psychological reasons why people ghost. Not to excuse them, but to help you and me let go in a way that feels safe. After they disappeared, I couldn't sleep for days. My mind was looping the same questions over and over again. Was I texting too much? Maybe I was boring. Did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? I went back through our old conversations, trying to find a clue, anything that would help me understand, and when I couldn't find one, I started to blame myself. Because when someone ghosts you, they leave no closure, no goodbye, no reason, just silence. And that silence becomes a mirror, one that reflects every insecurity you've ever tried to bury. I started to feel invisible, like I didn't even deserve a sentence, not even a sorry, I can't do this. And the hardest part wasn't losing them. It was losing the version of me I believed I was. Ghosting is a blank space, not a period, not a question mark, just an open-ended nothingness. And your brain tries to fill it with self-doubt. Here's what I learned. Our minds are wired to seek closure. Psychologically, when something ends without an explanation, it creates what's called ambiguous loss. It's like mourning something you're not even sure is gone. And it hurts just as much as a real breakup. Sometimes more. I used to believe people ghost because they just don't care. But then I started learning about psychology. And I realized ghosting doesn't always come from apathy. Sometimes it comes from fear. The fear of telling the truth. The fear of confrontation. The fear of hurting someone. The fear of vulnerability. The fear of being the bad guy. That fear doesn't excuse ghosting. It's still a lack of emotional responsibility. But understanding what's beneath it helped me stop taking it personally. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? I started asking, what might they have been afraid to face? 6 reasons why people ghost, and how I've seen every single one. I didn't just get ghosted once. It happened to me a few times. And once, I was the one who ghosted someone else. Not proudly, not intentionally, but because I didn't know how to say what needed to be said. That's when I realized ghosting isn't just bad behavior. It's often a reflection of something unresolved inside a person. Here are 6 real psychological reasons I've learned that explain why someone might ghost you. 1. They don't feel safe. There was a time I made a joke that unintentionally crossed a line. I didn't mean harm, but I could tell something shifted. They stopped replying the next day. It took me a while to understand that what I thought was harmless made them feel uncomfortable. Some people ghost because they're trying to protect themselves. Not everyone feels safe expressing discomfort, so they disappear instead, especially if they've been through trauma or abuse. Ghosting for them might feel like the only option left. 2. They want revenge. Yes, sometimes if people ghost out of bitterness, it could be because you unintentionally triggered a wound in them. Or maybe they're still carrying resentment from a past relationship. I was ghosted by someone I had casually dated a year before. I found out later they felt I left too quickly the first time. When we reconnected, they mirrored what they thought I did. It hurt. But it taught me something. Ghosting can sometimes be passive-aggressive punishment. It's not about resolution. It's about control. 3. They fear intimacy. One of the most confusing ghostings I experienced was with someone who genuinely seemed to like me. Everything was going well. Until it started getting real. We opened up more, things got emotionally deeper. And then they disappeared. No warning. I later learned they had a deep fear of abandonment. When they started feeling close to me, that fear kicked in. Ghosting became their way of running before they could be left. This is common in people with avoidant attachment styles. They want connection. But connection feels dangerous, so they cut it off when it becomes too real. 4. It's easier than confrontation. Let's be honest, saying, "Hey, I'm not feeling this anymore," is awkward. It feels vulnerable. It can make you feel like the villain, so some people that take what they think is the easier route, they disappear. They avoid the discomfort of an honest conversation. I know because I did this once, and I still regret it. Not because they were the perfect person, but because they deserved clarity, and I didn't have the courage to give it. 5. They're overwhelmed by life. Ghosting doesn't always come from an emotional immaturity. Sometimes it comes from the emotional overload. I was ghosted once by someone who later reached out months afterward. They had lost a family member, moved cities, and were dealing with depression. They couldn't explain it at the time. They didn't even know what to say, so they said nothing. Life can be chaotic. And when someone is drowning in their own storm, they might not have the energy to hold space for someone else. That's not your fault, but it can still hurt deeply. 6. They fear being honest. Some people are conflict avoidant to their core. They were never taught how to speak directly about their feelings. They think silence is kindness. They fear if they tell you the truth, it'll cause drama or pain. So they ghost you thinking they're doing the least harmful thing. But silence is not kindness. Clarity is. And ghosting becomes a way of avoiding responsibility, even though it hurts more in the long run. So those are the 6. I've seen them all. I've been on both sides. And what I've learned is this. Ghosting usually says more about the ghoster's emotional capacity than your worth. It's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And sometimes that's the first step to letting go. Here's what actually helped me heal after being ghosted. Being ghosted messes with your head. It makes you question what was real. It makes you feel like something is unfinished. And the truth is, it is unfinished. Because ghosting doesn't give you a clean cut. It gives you a wound that stays open. And if you're not careful, you'll try to close it by reopening yourself to someone who already walked away. So I had to learn how to give myself the closure they couldn't. Here are the 3 things that helped me. 1. I stopped chasing clarity from someone who already chose confusion. I used to reread messages, stare at their last seen status. I even drafted messages I never sent. All of it was an attempt to get an answer. But here's what I realized. The silence was their answer. And I had to stop treating it like a mystery. People who care communicate. People who can't communicate disappear. That isn't a reflection of my worth. It's a reflection of their skill set. 2. I wrote them a letter and never sent it. I put down everything I wanted to say, every question, every feeling, every ounce of closure I wanted from them. But the letter wasn't for them. It was for me. To clear the clutter, to empty the pain, and to move it from my body and onto paper. It worked better than I thought it would. I cried when I finished, and I finally felt like I could breathe again. 3. I reconnected with people who remind me I'm not hard to love. Being ghosted made me feel like I was too much, too emotional, too intense, too vulnerable. But that's only true to the people who don't have the tools to meet me there. So I went back to friends who get me. I talked to people who were consistent. I spent time in space where I didn't have to shrink. I either let their love remind me that I'm not broken, I'm just not for everyone. And that's okay. And maybe this last part is the most important. I forgave myself for not seeing it coming, for blaming myself, for staying hopeful too long. I needed to grieve, not just the connection, but also the part of me that thought I had to earn someone's honesty. You don't have to earn a goodbye. You deserve it by default. If you've been ghosted, I know what that silence feels like. The way it echoes in your chest, the way it makes you doubt your memory, the way it makes you hesitate to trust again. It's not just about being left, it's about not knowing why. But here's what I've learned. Not everyone is equipped to handle honesty. Not everyone has the language for goodbyes. Not everyone is ready for the level of connection you offer. And that's not your burden to carry. The way someone exits your life tells you everything about their emotional maturity. It tells you what they're ready for. It tells you how they handle discomfort. It tells you whether they can sit in the tension of truth. If they can't, you don't have to fill in their silence with your self-blame. You don't have to write their reasons in your own blood. You don't have to make their choice about your worth. You can choose something else. You can choose to see their silence as a boundary, not as punishment, but as redirection. You can choose to let that relationship end on your own terms, with your dignity intact, with your hope still alive, with your heart a little stronger. If you've made it this far into my story, thank you. And if it resonated with you, maybe we're not so alone in this after all. Let me ask you, have you ever been ghosted? Or maybe, have you ghosted someone before? What did it feel like? And what did you learn from it? I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Let's stop pretending these things don't hurt. Let's start talking about them with honesty and care. If this video helped you feel even a little less alone, please give it a like. If you want to join me on more healing conversations like this, subscribe to High Day Psych, and don't forget to turn on the bell so you won't miss the next story we share, because you deserve real connection. And I promise, there are people out there who won't disappear when it gets real. You just haven't